How y'all doing?
Good.
Thank you all so much for coming out. It's a great turnout, great candidate turnout as well. Look at all these candidates. I think 12 of you are up there. Good evening and welcome to Ballot Boxing, the District 3 Forum. I'm Mike Kanan with the Austin Monitor, and I'll be your host and moderator for the evening. Joining me to watch for questions via Twitter and from the audience is the Austin Chronicle's Mary Tuma. This is the third of thank you. This is the third of 11 candidate discussion forums hosted by KUT, the Austin Monitor, the Austin Chronicle, KXAN, and Univision. It is also part of the Austin Monitor's Brains, Beers, and Betterment series, and so we need to acknowledge our sponsor for that, Yellow Cab, Austin Yellow Cab. These forums are designed to get residents of the City of Austin's new geographic council districts a chance to meet and vet the folks running to represent them. The evening will work like this. After this introduction, candidates will have 1 minute to make initial remarks. We would then typically move into what we've been calling a lightning round, a quiz show style segment. However, given the number of candidates in this race, we've elected to move directly into questions from yours truly, which each candidate will have 1 minute to answer. After that, we'll open it up to questions from the audience. Many of you have already submitted some via note cards. You can also do it via Twitter. Thank you very much for submitting the questions. And the easiest way, I think, for folks here to submit a question is to write it down on one of those note cards. They're floating around. We have our helpers here handing them out. And if you haven't yet submitted the question, feel free to raise the card and folks will come around and get you. Like I said, you can also submit questions via Twitter. Hashtag for tonight is hashtag BBD3. Now, please welcome our candidates. You'll note that they are seated in the order on which they appear on the ballot. And so we're going to proceed with the opening remarks from, well, I'm terrible with directions, I apologize, from left to right. And then down here with Mr. Limon, cross back to left. And we'll try to switch this up as much as possible to give everybody a chance to go first. So, please take it away, sir.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Turillos Bonilla. I go by the name of Ricardo. I'm American by choice. I came to Austin back in '66 in the summer, right on time for the tower shootings. And 10, 11 years ago, the midlife crisis found me back in Austin. And I am very grateful because this has been more creative and productive period of my life. I've written 6 books so far. And I address the crisis of civilization on why cities are broken, why people commit suicide, why people are not fulfilling. That's what I do. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Kent Phillips. Let me tell you, we are blessed to have an amazing opportunity this year. We have finally broken up the elite monopoly that has been governing our city through the city council that did not represent us properly. Now is our chance to try something new and refreshing. We need to find a new kind of candidate who changes everything we thought about the city council, one who will actually represent our district. I am that candidate. We have 3 primary problems in our district: taxation, traffic, and affordability. Let me tell you, they are all very closely related, and I'm just going to run through them real quick here. We have to reduce property taxes immediately. They are bringing up all the problems we have with everything else. They are pushing people out of our district and letting transplants come in and using our affordable housing subsidies to move into our district. I'm just going to cut to the end here since I'm running out of time. Give me your vote. Give me a chance to get into office and show you what I can do.
I'm afraid that's your time. And just in case you guys didn't see it, the clock is right there. I'll give you a little warning, too. Mr. Horster.
Chris, please, no mister. I want to thank everybody first for coming out here and supporting us and supporting your city. I want to thank the organizers, too. This is the first time we've had all 12 candidates in a forum, and we've had several forums before today. So everybody showed up. We're all here. My campaign is Christopher for ATX. I come with 25 years private service industry background. I was in the service industry, but the wrong kind of service, so I wanted to make a change. And I went back to college in 2008, got my degree from Texas State University in Public Administration. I'm working on my master's now in political science. I was campaign manager for Pete Salazar Jr. in District 7, but I didn't see what I liked in my own district in District 3. I want to be a candidate that represents everybody. No personal agendas, no personal claims. Represent everybody from north to south. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sean Ireland. I'm a candidate for Austin City Council District 3, and I would just like to say how honored I am to be sitting on a stage with so many community activists and people who are care a lot about their neighborhoods, and I'm one of them. One of 12 on the ballot, fourth name on the ballot. I would like to bring my experience in business and community advocacy to City Hall. I see three main problems facing District 3 that also faces the city as a whole. That's affordability, infrastructure, and public safety. You're going to hear a lot of ideas, and I want you to think about when people pose one, is like, is that idea an affordable one? Because any candidate in any race can come up and put up an expensive proposition to a simple problem. Let's say traffic, for instance. Your commute is much longer than it needs to be because we do not synchronize our traffic lights. That's a software fix. That's not going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And those are the kind of ideas I would like to bring to City Hall. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see everybody here tonight from District 3 and from other parts of Austin. My name is Mario Cantu, and I'm running for District 3, and the reason why, many times I'm out in the field meeting all different residents, and the number one question they ask me is, why are you running? And they give me this really kind of weird look, and they really look me in the eye. I've been involved as a vice president and president of my homeowners association for 5 years. I've been involved with Austin Neighborhoods Council for 2 years, and I'm a paramedic for over 25 years. So I'm very aware of public safety and how it operates. So the reason why I'm running is because based on what I see and what I know for the last 2 years going on at City Council, that if I do not step up to the plate and run and things become worse, then I will only blame myself. So I don't want that to happen, so that's why I'm here stepping up to the plate and running for City Council. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Jose Quintero. I'm with the Greater East Austin Neighborhood Association. I'm running for District 3 City Council, and I would like to see accountability in the city government and transparency. This is a big issue, and one of the biggest one is affordability. The meaning for gentrification for this city in the past 70, 80 years is not gentrification. I mean, it's gentrification. They don't know what the word meaning means. It's appalling to me that they've gone this far to pass a comprehensive plan, use NGO, non-government agencies to run their system. And they do this by committees, and they pass these issues on consent without the people's vote. So I appreciate your vote.
Mr. Limon. Oh, we should go with you next.
Oh, okay. I was 12. I thought we were going down in numerical order. Okay. My name is Julian Limon Fernandez. I got my GED and went into the U.S. Air Force to receive some more education and to pick up a trade. Most that are up here are advocates, they're activists, community leaders, they're also organizers, presidents of neighborhood associations, along with educators, lawyers, directors, and college grads. I don't have their education or degrees. I do have common sense and knowledge. Each one of these people up here will do very well to run and win and represent us very well. What I do is I help people gain money. I help them raise in their fundraisers, and I've been a long-time advocate for the elderly and disabled. Thank you very much, and I hope you vote for me.
Thank you to the organizers and the people that are participating in this historic election. My name is Sabino Pio Renteria, and I have lived in East Austin all my life. I believe I'm the best candidate to represent the people who live, work, and play in District 3. I'm running to prove that a low-income, hardworking, middle-class dad can win with the support of the people who are just like me. I'm determined to succeed. I grew up poor in the East Side and worked all my life. I got a job at Region 13, used their school tuition assistance, and which led to a better job at IBM, where I worked for 34 years. I'm devoted to my family, my church, the city. My wife and I have raised 3 children, all finished school, have good jobs, homeowners. I love them very much. I have served on all kinds of boards, commissions, community groups.
I'm sorry, that's your time. Ms. Almanza.
Vote for justice, freedom, and human rights. Vote for Susana Almanza, number 10 on the ballot for District 3. Together, we can work to improve the availability of affordable housing, assist small businesses, create jobs with a living wage of $15 an hour, make transportation accessible to all, and create programs, educational programs for children and adults. Vote para la justicia, la libertad y los derechos humanos. Vote para Susana Almanza, número 3 en número 10 en el boleto electoral. Juntos podemos trabajar para viviendas accesibles, podemos ayudar a las pequeñas empresas, a aumentar los servicios de salud para todos, acceso a transporte y también crear y establecer programas educativos para niños y adultos. Les pido que vote por justicia y que vote para Susana Almanza, número 10 en el boleto electoral. Gracias.
Nice. How to follow that? That's going to be awesome. So my name is Eric Angel. I'm running for Austin City Council District 3. And wherever I go, I'm always asked, what's the biggest challenge facing Austin? And I always tell them that it's actually 10-1 itself. Because it doesn't matter where we're talking about affordability or water, right? If we don't have the right people on there who can't compromise, who can't collaborate, and who can't work well with one another, nothing will ever get done. And Austin will just rip at the seams and will continue down the perilous path that we're on. You know, we need people in there that can understand that compromise and collaborations are not signs of weakness, but merely signs of strength. I believe I'm that person. We also need people in there who believe and have an obligation and a duty to bring a voice to those who have felt disconnected and who have felt neglected for far too long. I'm that person to bridge that gap. So I, Eric J. Hanahed, ask for your support. This November, I ask for your vote. And I ask for you to let me be your voice at City Hall. So together, we can be the voice of our community. Thank you.
Eric, I thought that was pretty nice, too. Thank you. My name is Jose Valera. I'm going to be number 8 on the ballot. I'm a longtime East Austinite, 5th generation. I grew up and have been educated in this part of town. And I've also seen the tremendous growth and change that has occurred here, especially over the last 10 years. The primary reason I got into this race was to make sure that that growth and change does not displace our long-term residents and those on fixed incomes. But I also know that we are a district bound by these crazy lines that they've driven on the map. And so it's also very important to realize that we're all part of the District 3 community. So I also want to send a message of inclusion to all of us. And all of us need to work together to put forth a strong advocate for the district who can also have the qualifications, the leadership, and the temperament to serve on Austin City Council. I'm Jose Valera, number 8 on the ballot. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you to the Austin Monitor, to the Austin Chronicle, to KXAN and Univision. Also to all of you who are here and all of the candidates on stage. And I particularly want to shout out that wonderful bartender back there who served me an amazing bullet rye, 3 fingers high, which I greatly appreciate, with 1 ice cube. You're going to learn a whole lot more about us up here by our responses to the questions that we answer. I could tell you my bio and the reasons I'm running. Well, okay. The main reason I'm running is my children. I have 3 young children, ages 2, 5, and 7, who attend two of whom attend Allison Elementary School. I really want to see a future Austin that works for them, because I think if it works for them, it'll work for all of you. And I'm very excited to be here. Look forward to answering your pointed questions, which I hope you will find stimulating as well as exciting. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all. We're going to move to a question from us, and then I think, Mary, we've got a lot of questions, right? So we'll go right into questions from the audience. Let's start with a simple one, and we'll go in reverse order this time. I guess maybe not so simple. How will you work with your colleagues to balance the needs of District 3 and other more citywide issues? Go ahead, Dr. McGee.
Well, that's going to be you heard Eric talk about how there's going to be some changes with 10-1. I was on the Charter Revision Committee that gave us 10-1. And I knew then that we were going to be putting some challenges into place. And really, I was asked on the campaign trail before about, well, what's your agenda? What do you want to see enacted right away, like on day one that you assume office? And the answer is I need to get to know the other city council members, because remember, it takes 6 votes to get anything done. You need to know who they are. You need to know what their concerns are in their districts. Now, districts 1 through 4, I think, share many characteristics, and you'll find, and probably 5 too, that I think will lead to, that's one sort of voting block that I think is foreseeable at this stage. But basically, there's going to be a feeling out period initially. With this new city council. They're all going to need to get together, figure each other out. There may be a Republican on this city council. That's going to be kind of a monkey wrench that's new for the city. So that's what I think is probably what's going to happen.
Well, I think the first step is going to be to listen to the community members in District 3, all of them. There are some problems of affordability and transportation that are district and, in fact, citywide. But I also think it's important to get out there with the community and find the specific problems in each of the separate areas of the district. For example, certainly in this area, property taxes, displacement, it's a key #1 problem. But if you go down to the southwest part, they don't have exactly that same problem. They're more concerned with transportation issues, traffic issues, bike lanes. So first, I think you have to listen to the community and then take that input as a mandate for you as a representative and an advocate on city council. And then I think that, along with respect for the other council members and coordination with the other council members, will allow you to be the most effective representative of this district.
Actually, this answer is actually pretty simple. First, what I would like to do once in office is actually go visit the other districts with the other council member who's elected and see what coalitions and things that we have compromise with and we have things in common with. I think that's going to be the first step. The second step, what I'd like to do is actually go to you all. Once I'm elected on council, I need qualified men and women to sit on boards and commissions. I want you. I want this to be a community, drive, and I don't want to go outside District 3. I want to go inside District 3 to bring the process back, to get connected back with the community, and that's what I plan to do, is first reach out to the other council members, and then secondly, reach out in the community so that we can move forward and hope a coalition within the district, and all throughout the district. And so I think that's the best way to bring prosperity for everybody. Thank you.
I think one of the beauties of being a native and dedicating your life to the community is knowing that you've been working with those communities, with the Montopolis community, the Go Valley Johnston community, the Holly community, the Central East Austin community, the Battle Bend communities, and others. So once you know that, you pretty much already know the issues. The issues are affordable housing. It is job creation. It is access to health. It is equal access to transportation. It is programs for our children and adults. It is all of these issues are the things that you have to address, and working on policies, working on land use issues, transportation issues, all those issues, and serving on boards and commissions. I've served on 4 boards. Too many boards and commissions and initiative to sit on. Once you know that, and once you have that relationship already with staff that there's in City Council, and I've been going to all the forums, so I'm getting to know all the candidates that are all running and seeing how we may work together to move Austin forward. Thank you.
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. How will you work with your colleagues to balance the needs of District 3 and other more citywide issues?
Well, my past experience, I was past chair of for 8 years of the Community Development Commission, one of the commissions that overlook federal funding for affordable housing. I also served on the Environmental Board, and I have served on numerous boards, and I have been able to work with the other communities so that we have worked allocating monies for our affordable housing, and I have worked together with different people in different neighborhoods so that we could work out these programs. When I first joined the Development Commission, we were wasting a lot of money on economic development, and we reverted that funding to affordable housing and home repair and service for the elderlies. So we did a lot of different programs through my leadership, and I hope to be able to continue that as your next city council.
Mr. Limon.
Thank you. I forgot to introduce my wife and my son, Diane and Freddie. She's been with one lawyer for 31 years, and very great person to be around. First and foremost, as far as reaching out to the other side, I think is very important. Communication and compassion for your community and compassion for the other communities and other districts. I think that's very important. If it doesn't matter how many boards and commissions and how many programs you have, if you cannot communicate and get along with other people, you're not going to be a good council person. And I promise that I will represent this District 3 with all of my heart, with all of the vigor that I have. And you must know that between all of the candidates that are here, we will be representing District 3. Your choice is going to be, who do you want to represent? And do you want somebody that's compassionate, that will understand, that will reach across, that will be
Mr.
part
Limon,
of the district? Thank you.
Sir.
My first priority would be that I would work with the other city council members to work with accountability regarding the city's agenda. And the issue with me would be affordable housing. The question is, where is the money? And where has it been hidden? So it's an issue that we need to address immediately, because we've addressed affordable housing for years, and it simply hasn't been done. And one of the things that I'm challenging other district candidates is that the accountability and the transparency of the city is one agenda for themselves and not for the people. So I want to represent the people. I'm welcoming you to come to the office and walk in. You don't need an appointment. So that's the issue regarding the transparency. Where is the money? Where is the HUD money that we're supposed to be had been allocated to us? Thank you.
Mr. Cantu.
How will I work with my colleagues? Well, I can tell you one thing, communication is essential. If you're not communicating with individuals or organizations or a large amount of individuals, and you don't have that communication, and there's a gap in between, things will not get done correctly. So you have to have communication. How will I work with my colleagues? Well, as a paramedic for 25 years, that was my job. My job was to work on multiple patients with multiple paramedics, with multiple entities from different districts and different areas, all at one time. I know how to do that. I've done it before, and I can do it again. As an individual born and raised here in Austin, Texas, my grandparents grew up in the east part of town. I grew up in South Austin, so I'm very familiar with both parts of the district. And I have been heavily involved with the neighborhood associations, and as a Sector 9 rep, I have been able to encounter and engage with the citizens of those areas, so I'm very familiar with that. Thank you.
One of the things that I'll do to work with my colleagues on city council is to find common ground. One thing I won't do is I won't wait to start talking to my constituents once I'm elected. My campaign has been going since January, and even before then. If you go to IrelandForAustin.com and look under Action Plan, that platform was written by you. Input by you, small business owners, people in the communities, people I've met on Cat Metro buses. That's how I'm building my platform. And that's what, when it is implemented, this district will thrive. And one of the reasons for affordability that we can tackle immediately and I can get broad support on is an audit of Austin Energy. It is $1 billion public utility. If it was in the private sector, it would be listed on the Fortune 500, and it has never been audited. We could find 5 to 10% in savings. Is the difference between $50 and $100 million back in your pockets. And those are the kind of solutions that you're going to find instant support from on day one when I am ready to serve.
I've gone on record, the first thing I'm going to do even before elected is I'm going to reach out to the citizens and create a District 3 leadership council within the district There's no councilman can know everything the way these districts are drawn going on in the whole district. You're going to have help. You're going to have the citizens giving their input. One of the things that got me in this race is the divisiveness within our district, within the candidates that are up here. I'm the better late than never candidate. I got on the last day, the last hour, because I just saw infighting, and divisiveness, and people hollering at each other, stealing signs. It's not the way we need to do things. Okay, we've got to collaborate. You've got to have somebody that collaborates and gets along with the other council members. You can't have somebody that's going to only respect District 3. They have to do work in the whole city. You have to have somebody that believes in the citizens. Believes in the citizens enough to actually vote for 10-1 when it came up to the charter revision. Thank you.
I agree with what has already been said a lot, and I think Sean really hit it with the common ground. That's going to be the most important thing, is just knowing who else you're working with and knowing what they stand for and what you can agree on and work with each one of those individuals on any particular item. I myself don't prescribe to any specific major party in this country, and I think that offers me a lot of opportunity to reach out across what are typically seen as party lines and find those agreements. But make no mistake, I'm not being elected by this district just to get along with everyone. I think it's time we had our own representative and that I go out there and fight for this district and its needs. So if I need to step on some toes and really fight for you all, that's what I'm going to do, and it's not about just getting along with everyone.
Hi. I think democracy, we're transitioning from an aristocratic system that was working bad, but they knew what they were doing, and we're going to come up with a democratic system right now. But democracy has to build its own traditions. And the only way to build a tradition is to ensure that this structure that we have right now of these excellent individuals continues after the election. In other words, the person that might be elected will represent the district, but there has to be this connection to the base. In other words, I would ask my colleagues that we constitute ourselves into a district council. Just like there is a city council, but there has to be a district council. And it should be composed precisely by those 12 people that know the best the district, which would be us. Democracy needs to be constructed, and this is the moment to do it. And if we don't construct democracy, it's going to be a chaos. And I think I have the leadership, the ideas, being a physicist and businessman and philosopher, I think I have something to contribute. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I think, Mary, I think we're going to go for some audience questions. You got something ready?
Yeah, I also wanted to thank the audience for all their great questions. I received several regarding gentrification. So could you tell me, what do you think? Do you think gentrification is a problem in your district? If so, can you identify a specific way to alleviate it?
Mr. Limon, let's start with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And we'll go this way.
Well, gentrification is inevitable and it's happening. Unfortunately, we feel in the community that we're being invaded into our community. However, if you look at national standards, we're one of the most sought after and one of the best districts that's here in the United States and especially Texas. We have a lot of growth. We need to maintain the residents that's been here for years. I myself was born and raised here. I live in the 2 blocks away from where I was born. So being part of this community, I see what is going on as far as the gentrification. However, not all gentrification is bad. I do see a lot of small businesses that are coming up, and I think we need to support the small businesses, and I think we need to support the family-owned mom-and-pops businesses.
Mr. Entry.
Yes, gentrification is a big problem, and the way I would solve it is I would reduce the feed waivers, the tax abatement, and the utility subsidies to large business. Also fix the broken appraisal system and support a state income tax to support our schools, and public disclosure of all sales, property sales. Also, I would implement the Homestead Preservation Act. This is one of the best programs. I had the privilege of working with my state rep, Eddie Rodriguez, in passing this law. What it would do is take a snapshot of the values of the property values, and all the increase in taxes, 25% would go to be reinvested into affordable housing. We have some projects, some great programs going on at Rebecca Dwayne Johnson for our seniors. We got the Future Saltillo lots here that's going to be 25% for affordability. Thank you.
Well, as a member of PODER, we worked on the whole gentrification report that led to the City of Austin Gentrification Task Force. As Michael Pertelli reported, zip code 78702 was the second most gentrified zip code in the entire United States, so definitely we're being gentrified. And we define gentrification as a higher class income people displacing a lower class income people. And so some of the remedies that we would need to do is look at the state level. We would look at the whole income tax appraisal, how that's done, look at the condominium conversion fees, and look at rent control, look at all those different issues at the state level. At the city level, we need to look at tax exemption, 20% within a phase period, or other alternatives. We also need to look at using city-owned land on thousands of properties that can be dedicated to affordable housing, nonprofits who can build very cheaply. We can lower the MFI for ownership,
And
because
that's your
right
time
now
is
it's at
almost
80%. Thank you.
Of course, gentrification is a problem, and I think everyone's going to say that. But I think we must be honest with ourselves before we start throwing stones, because there was once a time in District 3 where it was very undesirable. But because of people like everybody here, the city, the police, it's become more sought after. And that's sort of the positives and negative sides, like Mr. Leon was saying about gentrification, is that there is some positives about that, but we have to control that positive, and that positive is growth. And when developers come in, and that's what I plan to do once on council, is to work to control that growth, because progress is inevitable. Growth is inevitable, but we have to control it, and that's where the problem lies. So when I get on council, that's what I plan to do, is work with developers, work with the neighborhoods, work with like the land development code, the rewrite that's going to come up, and that's the way we help out with gentrification. Along with best return on our investments is public partnerships, and invest in public lands, and streamline the building process. All these things help us out with gentrification.
With the utmost respect to Eric, and I certainly have a great deal of respect to him, I have to disagree. I think that it was seen as undesirable, but to those of us who grew up here and lived here, there's no other place that we want to be, and we want to stay here. So gentrification is real, and it's here, and it's the elderly, those on fixed income, are most threatened by it. And so we have to first focus on them. And it's going to take a long-term strategic plan and a lot of short-term tools. The long-term strategic plan is, of course, reform at the city, county, and Texas and state level. And that's the long-term plan. And then we need to use each and every one of our tools to help these people out, the people that are getting pushed out. And we don't have to focus animosity on the new people coming in. We need to focus on helping the people getting pushed out. And that's with homestead preservation districts, tax exemptions, subsidies, whatever we can find, whatever tool we have to use. Thank you.
Well, I find myself largely in agreement with my esteemed colleague, Mr. Valera, right here. I was on the anti-gentrification task force, so I have some experience on this issue. And what he says is correct. Gentrification is largely caused by, there's two factors in it, perception and then economics. What matters is the percentage of renters that exist in an area that is being gentrified. District 3 has the lowest percentage of homeowners of all 10 districts. Only 27% of District 3 residents own their home. The second part is a perceptional problem. When you have realtors and people who are advocates of the growth machine of real estate on steroids look at neighborhoods in District 3, what they see is diamonds in the rough, flip opportunities, things that they can quickly fix up and sell at a massive profit. Those of us who are longtime residents, of course, understand that these are neighborhoods of rich culture. That's one reason I wrote my Metropolis book, to explain it to new arrivals. And number two, I have a long track record of historic preservation and public housing projects and brownfields
That's
remediation.
your time there.
Thank you.
Let's go with you, Mr. Tulios.
Yes, I teach at Garner Betts. It's a juvenile justice center, and my kids suffer from labeling. And I think what we're doing here is shutting down any kind of the intelligent conversation by using this G word. I'm completely against labeling any kind. I think what made this country great is immigrants, okay? Either from why it's coming in or coming out or whatever. I think that's what's made this country great. What has made Austin great is also immigration. What's making Austin, the 3rd District, great is also immigration. So I don't see any problem with I see a shutdown of communication completely with this G word. I think rather that the effects are this movement of people, but the causes is how do you finance education? I think we have it completely wrong by financing education with property taxes, because that's what's driving people out, okay? People are welcome, it's taxes that's wrong.
Yeah, and with all respect, Erica, the controlling growth is a dangerous mentality, I think. There's no way I can presume the authority, even as a city council member, to go to someone who wants to make an offer on a home and tell them, no, that's wrong. You shouldn't offer your money to purchase a home in an area. You shouldn't bring your wealth into an area and increase the growth and the taxation that is going to be paid through that person's property taxes. That's going to go to the schools. It's going to help the area. It's going to help the area grow and be better and more successful. I just think that's a dangerous precedent to set. That said, it is the taxes. You're absolutely right about that. The only thing that's actually forcing anyone to leave is the taxation on their home. So if we set the homestead exemption and we focus on the effective tax rate so that we're not actually gaining more money than we ought to, then people can afford to stay in their homes that they live in.
Isn't it amazing come election time how everybody throws around the word gentrification and affordability? It's amazing to me. I spent a couple of years ago as a housing specialist for Caritas of Austin. I was charged with housing clients from 13 nonprofit agencies, and the average income for those clients was $800 a month. Where are you going to put them in Austin? I lay this at the feet of our current council, boards, and commissions for allowing the gentrification of East Riverside. Okay? They're the ones that have allowed these companies to come in, carpetbaggers, buy up affordable apartments, slap a coat of paint on, and throw out the poor people and let in rich people. We've become a city of haves and have-nots. And it's time for the have-nots to stand up and take a stand. We're going to have to not have affordable housing. We're going to have realistic housing and have rents of $500 a month.
District 3 is the most diverse cross-section in Austin. 17 square miles is a microcosm of the entire city. The city is becoming way too expensive for black people to live in. Did you know that Austin was the most affordable city to live in at one point in time? It wasn't during the Reagan 80s, it wasn't during the 60s or the New Deal times. It was 12 years ago. Austin was the most affordable city in the state. Now, what's happened since then? Well, I'll tell you what's happened since then. We are 48,000 affordable housing units short of where we need to be today. Who has the plan to look to the future and prepare for the future while respecting Southeast and East Austin's historic past? I am the candidate who will defend your heritage and your neighborhoods while setting smart policies to enable the growth that will happen. Don't elect someone who's going to waste their entire time trying to put toothpaste back into a tube for 4 years. You need results, you deserve results, and I'll get you those results.
Mr. Cantu.
I remember hanging out at Chicano Park when I was real young. It's changed now. It's different. But let's not fool ourselves. Gentrification is, no one really talks about the why or the how. But it's man-made. We know that. It just doesn't fall out of the air and all of a sudden gentrification happens. It's man-made. It's because of leadership and because of the zoning. If we had leadership that was back this way many years ago that could say, you know what, we need to fix the zoning over there to prevent this and work with the individuals that were there, we wouldn't be in this place right now. So we have to change that, and you need a leader that's going to do that for you, that's going to stand up to the plate and do that, because that's going to be important. So I ask every individual to really think about that and really notice what gentrification really is and where it's coming from. Thank you.
That's a good topic. I have a distinguished guest here, Kathy Vasquez, who used to be on the Planning Commission. Back in the 90s, we used to debate. We used to debate zoning, and that was a good issue because everybody was independent. In the year 2002, the City Council took over an agenda, and they had a plan. They had a master plan. It's not about the people, it's about a master plan. And that master plan has created a division that brought us, and we're the forefront runners of this gentrification in the United States. You go to the Austin Housing Corporation, and you have a problem when the city began a private-public partnership and got into real estate. And if my mother sells her house, they want to help her. They say you have to pay us 25% of the sale after the fact. That's the issue.
Thank you all. Mary, what else we got?
We had several questions regarding the Urban Rail project. Do you support the project? Why or why not?
Go ahead, sir.
I don't support the project because it's too expensive, and the reason that I don't support it is like a ghost town. If you see the light rail going through here all the time, there's nobody riding it. And so, and I know it's going to be over budget, just like they did the Waller Creek project. It'll be over budget. I suggest that they put an underground tunnel under I-35, and that we work with the toll roads and toll road 130 regarding the issue of transportation, and get the trucks off I-35.
So you're going to need a leader that's innovative and visionary. And what I mean by that is, one, I oppose the rail, and this is why. I have traveled abroad many times, and I've seen the rail systems in Europe and Asia. They don't compare to what we have here. If we want to talk about advanced technology and we want to talk about real rail, look at the rail systems that they have over there. Do you want to be coming back every 25 years and paying $4 million for a car? So for 100 years, you're going to pay 4 times $4 million each time for a rail. And it's going to be ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. And then what's going to happen, it's just going to become like a Macintosh computer. 20 years from now, it's going to be obsolete. But you know what? You're going to spend a lot of money, and we're going to be in debt. So that's why I oppose that. We need to get back to our sidewalks, implementation of bus lines, sync the traffic lights, get the trails, the bikes, lanes, all those things, the basics, we need those first, and then we can talk about advanced technology with rail systems. Thank you.
Mr. Arlen.
Well, I agree with Mario, but we don't have time to do that. 10 years from tonight, there will be 2 people in this city for every person in this room. This city will double in population to 1.6 million by this night, 2024. And how are they going to get around? Now, one of the misconceptions about Prop 1 is that if they vote on November, then there'll be bulldozers on Riverside come January. It'll take 6 years for the bond to mature, so a kid entering 6th grade this fall will be graduating high school by the time construction even begins. What are the transportation needs? You think you're inconvenienced now with traffic? How about it's going to be in 2020? And it'll take a further 4 years before it's even built. We're thinking about transportation in a way that, like, it's ACC, it's city limits, or South by Southwest, or it's Formula One or UT football games. But we are going to have one major event in this city every single week. We have to get these people from the airport to downtown. The bell has been rung on Riverside, but we can enact smart policy to help growth.
My vision of this new rail is pack chock full of students. It runs from ACC to UT to ACC. Who do you think is going to be on it? So I'm against this rail. There's too many things we need to do before we do this rail. I agree with Mario. We need to synchronize our traffic lights. Let's turn 183 and 360 into freeways. Take the lights off of them. Make them go all the way through. Let's include something with tollway failure 130 that nobody goes down. I get on the freeway at Old Torf down where I live, and the middle lane is nothing but a wall of trucks. Let's figure out a way to get them off. That tollway is a complete failure. Another thing we need to look at, and this is in conjunction with our affordability, is we need to look at urban villages. We might need to start doing and affording the dirt a little farther and get rid of this, get away from this density plan that somebody brought up in 2000. Not everybody needs to live downtown. If we provide transportation to a little farther out, we can build urban villages that support everybody out there.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of agreement on this one. It's not a good plan. It's done by the people that, as I was saying in my intro, are the ones we didn't trust to represent us before, and so why are we trusting them on what they came up with this time? It's time we get 10 new people in there, maybe 9 new people in there to come up with a new plan that'll actually be effective. That's not going to tear up Riverside while they're building it, 6 years from now, and then spend another 4 years actually building it. And in the meantime, we've got all of our roads torn up. We need to look at new technologies like personal rapid transit systems and magnetic rails to see if we can get something that'll be above ground, won't disrupt what we already have going, and it'll be more efficient for energy and probably even cost less. So they've just ignored huge opportunities with the current plan they have, and we need to go out and look at those first.
Thank you. Personally, I believe that we can be combating the symptoms, or we can address the character of the malady. We have a broken city, and I think the rail is a distraction. Why? Because to me, there are 3 basic problems in Austin. One has to do with neighborhoods. How come Austin is so rich, there's so many jobs, and how come people are getting kicked out, on the one hand? On the other hand, how come Austin is one of the most educated cities, and how come our educational system is broken? And thirdly, how come Austin is such an attractive place to live, and we have the highest suicide rate in the state? I mean, those are the real issues, okay, in Austin. The rail is just a distraction. I think the good choices were 15 years ago or 50 years ago. Right now, we only have bad choices or worse. And I'm for the bad, because worse is doing nothing. Thank you.
Dr. McGee.
My answer is no.
Very well.
My answer is also no, but I'll add another 50 seconds onto that. I really want urban rail to be a success. I do think that it's in our future, though it's in your hands to vote, and I want it to be a success. I want our first major line to be such a smashing success that the public supports it, and that they support the next line, and that support the next line. And I'm just not sure that this plan gets us there. That being said, there's only 12 votes up on this stage, so it really is up to you all in the city of Austin to decide whether we're going to move forward with this plan. Personally, while I'm against it, I think that it's hard to balance it against our affordability issues, and I think that we can do better. Again, I want this next phase to be a success, and I'm not sure that this is going to get us there. Thank you.
Nice. I'm actually for it. I think what Mario was saying about the rails in Europe, I've been there. They didn't happen overnight. What Jose was talking about, the homestead exemptions, all the tools in our shed. Rail is just one of those tools in our toolbox that we use. Like Sean was saying, this takes years to develop. So in that time period, from when it gets started to when it's finished, there's a lot we can do. The first step is improve our bus systems, extend run times, extend routes. The second thing we can do is improve our infrastructure, help out with sidewalks, help out with streets. The third thing we can do is welcome competition, ride share, electric cab. These sort of things will alleviate traffic as well. So I think when we look at it long term, transportation is like a game of chess. You have to think 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, and that's what rail is. thinking ahead. So in that time period while it's getting developed, we're doing all these things. So when it does finally get through, it's run smoothly. It's going to be overpriced, but the longer we wait, the more difficult it's going to be, and the more cost, the more.
And that's your time.
It's going to be difficult to build.
No, I will not support the rail. The bond will exhaust all the debt and will tie the hand of the future city council to issue any bond debt for other needs for over 10 years. The rail bond will also raise property taxes, not just for homeowners, but also for renters. Also, it will do nothing to relieve congestion. The bond is one of the most third highest bond issues in the whole United States. Its cost, you're talking about $119 million per mile. That is nothing good for our community. It will not serve us in any way. It already displaced, it hasn't even got here, and the Iron Horse displaced 1,700 affordable units in East Austin. What can we do? HOV lanes. We can stagger work hours for city, county, and private employers. We can do telecommute. We can do HOV lanes. Those are the things that we need to do. We can do cross bus. We can improve the bus services so bus riders don't have to pay the additional fees. Thank you.
I'm a long-time advocate for rail, so I do support the rail. I've gone throughout this country and looked at the rail system, and just recently came back from Dallas from our Democratic State Convention and seen how the rail works there. If we don't vote for rail, we're going to end up being nightmare traffic. That's all we're going to be facing in the future. I support not only the rail, but trails, sidewalks. We need to have rapid bus systems. We also need to have a wait fever for the big semi trucks so they can use IH 130, and so that we can get these big trucks off of 35. I've seen all these traffic accidents are being caused by these big old trucks, and we're losing a lot of people and injuring a lot of people there on 35, and we need to find a solution for that. Thank you.
Mr. Limon.
Well, I'm going to ask you guys, are y'all for the urban rail in District 3? Well, the noes have it, of course. It does us no good in District 3. It serves really no purpose because when the students go off on vacation, they go off on summer, those trails are going to be empty. Those trains are going to be empty. So that's a lot of waste, a lot of money that's going to be invested. Instead, it's like Susanna said, instead of using that money for affordable housing to bringing up more sustainability to East Austin, to South Austin, to Montopolis, it's going to take a lot of money out of our pockets, and it's going to create a deadlock with City Council because we won't have that money to be allocated to our communities and to the City of Austin. Everything will be locked up in debt.
Thank you all. Mary, what's next?
Another question?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. We received a lot of questions regarding affordable housing. I know you all touched on it when you spoke about gentrification, but here's a question from Twitter. What are your ideas, and please be as specific as possible, for providing affordable housing at all income levels?
Mr. Trujillos.
Well, we have to take into account not only affordable housing, but the resources. The model that we have here in Austin in particular, or in general, is the garden home. And this idea is very inefficient. It takes up a lot of water, and water is a scarce commodity right nowadays. And the scarce commodity also brings about very low density, and very low density makes unfeasible any public system that you can come up with. Okay? So we need to really discard the garden home and the lawns and all those beautiful things. You know, they belong in the past, okay? Austin is a different city, and if you want to make it affordable, you have to make high density. And if you come up with high density, then we can start having some kind of decent transportation system that pays for itself. I think affordability is part of the equation, and that's very important, and it can be addressed by changing our living habits.
Mr. Phillips.
You know, we are having a lot of festivals now, and I love them. They're a lot of fun, but what do we gain from that? When we have traffic all up and down I-35 and even way over on Mopac, and all of our roadways get clogged up by these big festivals, where's our reward for dealing with that situation when we're not necessarily attending them? The city gets a lot of sales tax on that, and yet somehow it has not come back to us. So we haven't seen a decrease in our real estate or property tax. We've seen an increase in it. So it seems to me there's a discrepancy there where we're dealing with a lot of the trouble, but we're not having that come back to us. I think the city needs to be held to an effective tax rate where they are held to what they are earning and not based on our property growth, our value growth. So they need to look into that, and by reducing the taxes will help those homes stay affordable to those who are living in them. Thank you.
First thing we can do is throw out the word affordability, because it doesn't mean anything. Affordability in Austin right now and everywhere is based upon income. It's a percentage of income paid to rent based on the average mean income in the city, which here is about $50,000, a little more. We don't all make $50,000 a year, so we can't afford the rent. Some people are paying 50% of their income. The next thing we do is need to get off the density. Start building out a little bit in the suburbs, some density out that way. Create new density. It's for you. You know, I would rather be stuck in traffic and be able to afford to live here than be flying down the highway and not be able to afford to live here. So we have to make a choice, and affordability needs to come first. There's so many things that we can do. The next thing I would do is no 20% tax exemption. I'm sorry, homeowners. I say we take that $36 million and quit taking so much money out of Austin Energy and return it to the ratepayers in their utility bills and make their utilities more affordable.
Austin is the 11th largest city in the country, but we have a bigger city budget than Dallas, a bigger city budget than San Antonio, and they have a public utility of their own. One way that we can make Austin affordable is to stop overpaying for services. That is, there is going to be budget cuts and cost cutting, but not to programs. You know, I have this idea that this gentleman, his high school student in California, actually figured out that if the federal government switched their type font from Times New Roman on every single thing they print to the font of Garamond, which is almost identical but slightly thinner, the federal government could save $440 million a year in ink cost alone, because printer ink per volume is twice the price of Chanel No. 5. If you think that the city of Austin prints 1% of what the federal government does, I just saved $5 million.
Mr. Cantu.
One thing in District 3 that is currently going on is we have renters and homeowners. A lot of renters, we have a lot of apartments there on Riverside and all in District 3. One of the main problems that we're seeing, and that has been ongoing for a very long time, is how certain individuals are living in some substandard conditions of rentals. And what I mean by that is that many times the owners are not taking care of those rental. We need to have weatherization. We need to mandate that, because if we can mandate that, then we can have those individuals actually save money instead of spending a lot of their money in electric bills. So that would be one thing to look at, and we also need to be slowing down the growth. I feel that's going to be very essential and important to really be methodical about what our zoning and how we are building, because we're going a little too fast. Thank you.
Sir.
What I would do is get the city involved in issuing incentives for the apartment industry, the apartment association, for an example. We're doing a apartment leasing project on West 6th Street. That's a 23-story building. Wouldn't the city be more accessible for affordable building that might be built downtown? Right now, they're trying to, I think they're planning to try to bring down the housing unit that's on Naces and Cesar Chavez, and that's affordable for a lot of elderly and disabled people. And I remember back when I was working with the Austin Apartment Association and apartment, George Bush had Barry Gillingwater, who owned about 13 properties here in East Austin, had a meeting in Dallas saying that we want all illegals that come into Austin to give them rental properties with no identification or whatever. And that's why we had Riverside. But at the same time, now that we have these new buildings on Riverside, there's only 4 units available for low-income people.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Limon.
Well, thank you. Affordability, it's, of course, a very big issue. My main concern is we're losing a lot of the great people that live here in Austin, Texas, and moving out to other states and other cities. My biggest concern is the elderly and the physically disabled. By us displacing those people, it's really making us look like we're cheating them out of a life. And affordability to them, they live on Social Security supplement income and on disabilities. And this is really unfair for those people too. I mean, I'm compassionate about affordability to everyone else, but our elderly and our physically disabled are really hurting here in Austin, Texas, and we must do something to help them out, and I will.
You know, the affordability is not all doom and gloom. And right now we have various projects in different stages. We have Rebecca Bain Johnson that's getting remodeled. They're going to increase the size from 250 units and double the size to 500 units. We have the Southdale track here that is under development now, under contract with Endeavor. And they're supposed to provide 25% affordable housing there. We also just passed a housing bond. We haven't spent one dime of that $65 million. We're going to be spending it in the future, starting next year with $15 million and then $10 million. I'm going to be working with a nonprofit organization like Community Foundation, the Guadalupe Neighborhood Corporation, to make sure that we implement and build affordable housing at 50 MFI. Thank you.
Turn it back. You already started. Well, one of the things we need to do is pass an affordable living wage of $15 an hour, because that's going to help get people out of poverty. Currently, right now, a person earning minimum wage has to work 88 hours a week to afford an $830 a month apartment. A two-bedroom apartment, they have to work 111 hours a week to afford $1,050 apartments. We need to stop that right now. We need to make sure we ensure a livable wage. This city hasn't built any public housing since the 1930s. And let's be honest, it's not affordable. They do rental at 40 to 65%, home ownership at 80%. So people in District 3 are living from a 0 to 30% median family income, and that particular part of the community is not being served. So we need to change the policies, and we need to focus on what is really affordable. And I will work on those policies, and I've been working on those policies, and we need to move forward. Thank you.
In regards to affordability, I think our mindset about affordability needs to sort of change. Affordability is really your cost of living, because affordability is your rent/mortgage plus transportation costs plus utilities. That's affordability. That's cost of living. So what we can help out with things like rail is decrease that transportation cost. It's estimated that it costs you $7,000 a year to own a vehicle. With extended bus routes and having rail, hopefully we can decrease that. As far as affordable housing goes, what we can do is public partnerships, private partnerships with other companies. We can, golly, I just lost my mindset right there. We can, that's crazy. So, no, we can, my God, that is ridiculous. Public lands. We can do Upward Public Lands as well. There you go. Nice. I was thinking about it. So anyway, I think it's our best return on investment. Doing public lands makes it across the city. It helps out. It goes with the concept of Imagine Austin. And then doing public partnerships, it lessens the burden on taxpayers. Thank you.
I think the first thing we have to absolutely do is preserve and improve our current truly affordable housing stock, whether that is subsidized housing, whether that's apartments that just are privately owned but are more affordable to those residents. Those types of housing need to be treated as a precious Austin resource and improved and made better and kept affordable. And then we need to also work on moving away from the median family income. There's a lot of very high incomes in Austin that are lifting that median family income value. And so we really need to think about that lower 10%, that lower 20%, and focus our affordable housing options on those folks. Now, I think there's other things we can do and make sure that every new building, every new construction is providing and increasing our affordable housing stock. Another thing we can do is finally, for once, implement an equitable land use and regulation code that is easy for all of us to understand. Thank you.
I agree with what Jose said, but I think it's important for you to understand there's only one person on this stage who has actually preserved public housing in Austin, and that's me. I am the person who put Santa Rita Courts into the National Register of Historic Places, and I'm the person who did it for Rosewood Courts. It's about to be listed, okay? Austin has a national, even international track record in this thing called affordable housing. But over the past 14 years, we have completely buried our heads in the sand and acted as if this history never mattered, that we never had the New Deal here, we never had the war on poverty here. Our city is an international leader in this area. We need to once again go back and understand that history, because many of the questions that people are asking about this issue, they have all been asked and answered before. Thank you.
All right, Mary, what we got next?
Hopefully, this is a yes or no question to allow you guys to kind of catch your breath. Will you be participating in the Pride Parade this weekend?
And just to be clear, one-word answer here. We'll start with Mr. Trujillo.
Well, actually, it's not a one word. I belong to the social. Well, I'm sorry.
Keep it quick. Keep it quick.
Okay, I belong
yes or
to
no?
the social justice group of the Temple Bet Shalom. I'm Jewish by choice, by the way, and we belong to Austin Interfaith. And Austin Interfaith has decided to back them up the Pride Parade. So I will be. Okay, I will be joining them. Thank you.
Mr. Phillips, pretty quick here.
I'm going to be unable to attend that.
Mr. Herster.
No.
Mr. Ireland.
Yes, but can they fit us all on a float?
I think if we can fit you on a stage, they might be able to put you on a float. Mr. Cantu.
I will not be able to attend.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I will not be able to attend.
Mr. Cantu.
I won't be able to attend either.
Mr. Limon.
I would love to be there, but I have a performance.
Okay. Mr. Renteria.
As someone who already had a float before in the gay parade, yes, I'll be there.
Ms. Almanza.
I definitely support the parade, but it's my birthday, so I have other things to be doing. But please celebrate for me. Thank you.
Mr. Ron Hill.
Yes, unfortunately, I will not be able to attend it.
I'm going to try to attend and check my Facebook and Twitter to see if I made it. I'm going to do my best to get there.
I'll be there with my entire family, including my sister Flyree, who'll be working the Wells Fargo tent.
All right. What's next, Mary?
Here's a question from the audience. As a council member, do you have the intestinal fortitude to slow down Austin's rampant growth and let infrastructure and capital projects catch up? How would you address this at council?
Dr. McGee, we'll start with you.
Well, I've never been accused of lacking intestinal fortitude before. I don't know if you are. I mean, my campaign slogan is "He's tough and he knows stuff." But remember, you also have to collaborate, okay? District 3 is one of 10 districts. It takes 6 votes to get anything done on this future city council. Now, I'm going to not sit up here and make you promises, pie-in-the-sky promises of how I'll put on my cape and fly downtown like Superman and basically put everybody in a headlock and about how I once I'm seated on this
intentional for that
I think Fred nailed it. It's about collaboration, and like Sean was saying earlier, it's about having common ground. Me being part of many organizations, whether it's political, neighborhood associations, my alumni, my church, and as well as not just being part of these organizations, but being in leadership roles of these organizations has allowed me to have that fortitude and understand and working with a diverse group of people. And that's what I plan to do when I get on council. It's like I said earlier, control that growth that's happening. You know, progress is going to happen, like I said. We just need to control it, and I plan to do that once on council, and I plan to work with the neighborhoods. And like I said earlier, the rewrite of the land development code is going to be very crucial in this process. The next city council is going to have a lot to say in that, and so that's part of the process, and that's part of one of the tools that we can have when it comes to controlling that growth, and that's what I plan to do. Thank you.
Well, as a grandmother and a community activist, I would take this head on. And one of the things that we need to do is manage growth. That's what we need to do. And we need to make sure that growth pays for itself. That is very important because we have been busy giving out so many subsidies and incentives and not getting those benefits. We have lost millions of dollars in investing in certain events and stuff and having to pay for that when there's been no benefits through the community. So we need to make sure and that there are community benefits involved in all of this particular process. And I look forward, just as I've done in the past, to work with all the different neighborhood associations, all the different groups that exist in the community to make sure, because this is not something that I can do alone. I have to do it with the community, and that's what I want. I want the community there by my side, and I want to hear from the community, and I want to make sure that the community is leading the fight, because I have never led the fight by myself. I have led it with the community. Thank you.
Mr. Ria.
I agree with a lot of what Susanna has said, and I agree with a lot of what Susanna has said. You know, I have a history of and gain your support because I'm just like you, and in some ways you're just like me, you know, and together, you know, we're going to be able to win this election here, and really start working for our people. That because we're really in a situation now where if we don't get together and work with the other councils, then we're going to face a lot of hardship here in East Austin because the gentrification, the money that's coming in, people are selling out. I mean, you can't fight $350,000, $400,000 for a lot, you know, when you only paid $37,000 to $40,000. So they're selling and moving out, and we're going to be without our culture. Thank you.
Mr. Limon.
Okay, thank you. Well, as far as growth is concerned, I have a very big concern with growth. I know I have some friends out there that have been approached and were asked to sell their homes, sell their farms, their urban farms, because they want to put some affordable housing and stuff like that. You know, that's not good growth. You know, we have to be positive. We have to be fair to our neighbors. And, you know, it's inevitable. It's inevitable that growth is going to happen. That's what we are all about. For you, 78,000, 3, and your other voice. This is your district.
Regarding growth, we have, as of now, about 80 people moving into Austin. And that's the reason, that's what's happened to East Austin regarding the growth. And the issue here is the public-private partnership with the City of Austin, who gives incentives to people and corporations that come into our city. we benefit nothing from it. Just for example, South by Southwest, we get tickets. We don't get no benefits in our parking in our neighborhoods. And so we've had buildings built here on Cesar Chavez. There's a hotel built on Cesar Chavez, passed by the East Austin Neighborhood Association on consent vote by the city. It's been empty there for about 2 years now. They anticipated the South by Southwest people would come in and rent that place. That's wasted money. So that's control of the city to control people's property and to invade our rights. And this is an issue that I have. So I will help to prevent that growth.
And that's your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Cantu.
I believe I answered that question just a while ago. What needs to take place is that we need to slow down this growth. It's moving too fast. It's uncontrollable. When something is uncontrollable, there's going to be a wreck. And it could be a small wreck or it could be a disaster. At the rate that we are going, it's going to be a disaster. By 2035, there's going to be 1.5 million people here. With those numbers, with those statistics, we know the numbers. We know where we are moving towards. We have to slow down the growth. And how are we going to do that? You're going to have a leader. You're going to have an individual that can work with every single person, whether you're brown, black, white, from every part of the country. We have to work together. I can do it by myself, but I will tell you this. As a council member, I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to be looking for each and every one of you to back me up, and you will know why I need you to back me up. Thank you.
Well, I think the reason why the question was asked about intestinal fortitude to be on the city council is because city council takes their meetings to 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's outrageous. If I'm on city council, you are guaranteed prime time for contentious votes. No more of this past midnight entering 4 a.m. nonsense. That does not serve anyone. It does not help the city operate well. But when it talks to like how do we prepare for growth, you know, one thing we need to look at is that major portions of District 3, you get your water through pre-World War II cast iron pipes. These things exceeded their life expectancy when Ronald Reagan was president, and you're going to drink out of it tonight. We have to make infrastructure a priority. I am the infrastructure candidate in this race, and I will replace every mile of these old fossils worth of infrastructure and replace them with the facilities and the infrastructure that you need.
I don't know about you, but I'm against building fences to keep people out to come better themselves. So other than that, no matter what any candidate tells you, you can't stop growth. You can't stop people from moving here. It's still cheaper than New York and San Francisco. We've been through this kind of growth before in the 80s. I don't know if everybody up here can remember, but Austin had massive growth in the 80s. 100 people moving here a day. Same thing we're seeing now. What we've got to be careful of is our affordability. And I'm going to go back to affordability because that's what's important. We've got to stop saying no to big corporate incentives. Let's help out the small businesses in our town. They're not asking for money. They're just asking for city to get out of the way and make it a little easier to exist. They don't want millions of dollars to move here. Let those corporations move somewhere else for a while because they're not going to give real jobs at $12 an hour. They're not going to provide those kind of jobs.
Nailed it. The corporate incentives must stop. We are paying money out of our own pockets so other companies can come here cheaper and bring more people here. Why are we paying money to bring more people here? That isn't helping the problem. What we need to do is take that money and put it towards our infrastructure. We need to put that towards better road systems, put it towards fixing the lights and synchronizing them, and so on and so forth. And that's our priority right now. If we just delay it, so be it. It helps the economy, but it's not what we need right now. We have a good economy in this city. What we need to focus on is our infrastructure.
Yes, I think part of the growth that we're having right now is pirating. By pirating, I mean we're going to, Silicon Valley and getting companies from there to come over here. But what guarantees that these companies come tomorrow, won't go someplace else? Look at the case of Ireland. Dale was an island until the island went with problems, and where did Dale go? To Poland. Okay, the same thing is going to happen in Austin. All these companies that come in overnight, and because it's an attractive thing to do, come tomorrow, they're going to leave. So we have to be very careful with growth, that we actually grow based on what gave us our character. And what gave us our character was, going back in history, was UT, was research. I think we should consider also what is called the big picture and the long term. We have to start, a leadership, I think, is not about coming up with quick fixes. I don't think there are any quick fixes. I think it requires reflection on where we're going. Also geography. The geography of Austin is very unique. We should be thinking about that.
All right, folks, 90 minutes flies when you have 12 candidates. I think we're down to one more question. Mary, you want to go ahead and...
Yeah, here's another yes or no. Do you support urban farms?
Mr. Limon, go ahead.
Everyone here knows that I support urban farms. When 125 people come to your home, me being a Hispanic, the first thing I think of is a lynching. Those people came to my home and asked me to represent this district. Why? Because I'm level-headed and I can communicate and I have compassion. Another thing, it's that everybody has, that I know of in East Austin, downs South by Southwest. I don't. I love South by Southwest. I think it's the best thing to ever happen to Austin, Texas. It's made Austin, Texas what it is today. We are known all around the world as the live music capital of the world, and it's because South by Southwest, Austin City Limits, and organizations like that bring millions and millions and millions of dollars. And okay, you may not see it, but you know what? It's out there for us to use.
Mr. Renteria.
Yes, I support urban farms. In fact, I'm a member of the Festival Beach Garden there on the corner of Waller and Nash Hernandez Boulevard. I helped the group attain funding through the city to develop this urban farm. So, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, here you're teaching people, exposing people to nutritious food. The young kids are learning all about gardening. They're learning about plants. They're learning where the food's coming from. So we need to not only we need to just encourage it, more of it. I mean, that's what it's all about. Especially on Chicano Park. Especially there. Yes. And I'm going to make sure that we have one there too.
Ms. Almanza.
Well, first I'm going to ask people not to be disrespectful, please. You have your opinion, but let's not be disrespectful. It does nothing for you. But let me just say, we were urban farmers before urban farm was a hip word, okay? We were urban farmers all along. I grew up in 10th Street. We had our chickens, we had rabbits, we had our vegetables fresh and everything. Excuse me, Paul, but I'm speaking here. Don't be disrespectful, okay? I won't do that to you, okay? Don't be disrespectful. I'm just asking you that. So just please let me finish here. Just please. And you can come and talk to me after the meeting. I will be here, okay? But what I'm saying is that urban farms is something that we've always had. I support community gardens. Poder has initiated box gardens throughout the community because I think it's very important that we continue to have fresh food and that we continue our indigenous ways of farming and feeding one another. Thank you so much.
Mr. Rangel.
Yeah. I'll make this short and sweet.
I support the food forest too.
There you go.
All right, folks. All right, folks. All right, folks. Let's give these folks a chance to speak, please. Mr. Rangel.
Okay. I strongly support urban farms, and to make this short and sweet, we need to encourage more of them. Like Bill said, I think it's a really good thing when we have kids that can really see where their food comes from. A lot of times, especially in the Hispanic community, diabetes is a prevalent and a problem. And if we can, give kids, a nutritious meal, and shows them, where their food comes from, I think leaps and bounds great for their health. And in the long run, too, it cuts down on these sort of things. So I'm for urban farms, and I want to increase more of them. Thank you.
Mr. Valero.
Yes, I support urban farms, and I think that I know that a lot of these farms have been in East Austin for a while. And I think this question really comes down to neighbors. These urban farms are our neighbors, and those urban farms have neighbors. And I think we all just need to communicate with each other, coordinate with each other, and I think we all want to have the same thing. A good community with these urban farms that can provide a service to the community, and I think that they do try to do that. And at the same time, I think they try to be respectful of their neighbors.
Dr. McGee.
I think the urban farm community, in voting for me, will have one of the strongest possible allies on the city council dais that it could have. My wife is a former board member of the Sustainable Food Center. She works for the Capital Area Food Bank of Texas, has for a long time. I have an extensive agricultural history in my family, going back multiple generations. And most importantly, we are active horticulturalists on our own lot. We grow our own food. We have chickens, all of the things that you would expect from somebody who takes sustainability seriously. So not only do I have the policy chops to advocate on this issue, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk.
Mr. Trujillo.
Yes, certainly, definitely. I think I would support it, obviously. More so, I would include it as part of the high school or middle school curriculum because it builds character. What kids need nowadays is hands-on, whole mind thinking, learning. And because right now it's just too many labs, artificial, and with farm garden, I think it would be something that earthly, that they could really get their hands on, gets a little dirty, and I think kids would love it. And I think that's the way to go, definitely.
If you want to go to your own land and grow your own food and live a healthier, better life through those means, I am absolutely behind you on that. You should have every right to do so. The only thing that we maybe ought to look into in this is also how we're going to do some local rain collecting too, so we can water those lawns and not hurt us in terms of our water supply, which surprisingly hasn't come up much tonight. So we should be promoting also each individual person being able to collect their own rainwater.
Mr. Horster.
I think the saying goes, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach him to fish, you feed him forever. And I want to salute the people in the urban farms because they feed a lot of people in this city. I also want to salute them because they can grow something, and every summer I kill a garden. So I definitely want to salute them. I'm with Kent. We should be able to, if you want to have a garden of your own, you should be able to. The food forest worries me a little bit. I worry about the reality. Is there ever going to be anything over there to pick? I don't know how that's going to work. I want to see it more. I know Seattle has started one. I want to see that more. It may be a possibility, but, we need to be open to these fresh ideas. It's fresh food. We need to have fresh ideas. That's one of the reasons I'm running. I want to be able to listen to each of you. If you want to talk about this afterwards, come find me. I'd sure like to get your input on this.
Mr. Allen.
When my father was getting his nursing license at UTSA, I was a raised single parent home, and we had no money. And I ate reduced lunches at school, and I know what it's like to not have food security. And food security is family security. If you want to grow vegetables to feed yourself and your family, then there should be no city ordinance that's going to keep you from doing that. I understand that people don't, chicken can be helpful, but slaughtering chickens offends people. But I would like to see Austin and Travis County enter into an interlocal agreement. This is something I would like to fight for you on City Hall, to where we could set aside public land, disused, underused, vacant lots, and set them aside to be productive members of the society. Food security is family security, and if that's important to you, then I am your candidate.
Mr. Cantu.
I want to let everybody know that I do support urban farms, and I also support the compost peddlers. I feel that we have something very innovative that's taking place in District 3, and we can proceed into doing something very unique if we work together. If we are all level-headed and we work together and we got problems and we got issues within your neighborhood and another neighborhood and another area, then we all come to the table together and we talk about it. And we work through that system into making sure that everything is fair, that it's impartial, and that we're firm with each other in making sure that we do these things correctly and that we can work with each other, because that's what we're going to have to do. We are going to have to work with each other. We just can't take people and push them out into other areas. And when it comes to Chicano Park, I used to hang out there. And, you know, that's an area that we need to preserve.
Mr. Cantu.
Some of those things.
Mr. Cantu, what's your time? Sir.
I don't support urban farms, especially in Chicano Park. We've lost all our values of what we were all about in our neighborhood. And so for everybody to come over to East Austin, and there's an open door over there, those people are not educated. We need to educate them now about food. The big issue here is Monsanto, okay? Who controls the food throughout the world and throughout the United States? Where's your political leaders? Okay? You should be taking kids out to the farms where you can, you know, do bigger harvest. But instead, Monsanto's the ones taking over the food. And so you come here and you want to put urban fall and educate our kids, just a few kids? Okay? That's the issue here. So this is not a place, this is a compact city. I don't think they want any urban farms in West Austin. Do you believe that? Thank you.
All righty. Well, thank you all. That's going to do it for us this evening. Early voting begins, remember, on October 20th. Thanks to the candidates. Thanks to the North Door. Thanks to y'all for coming out and for watching at home. For our media partners at KUT, the Austin Chronicle, KXAN, and Univision, I'm Mike Kanan with the Austin Monitor. Have a good night.
Long live the East Side.